1.4 billion people live below the international poverty line. But we can change the lives of others by changing our choices. For example, if just 1 in 10 North Americans purchased only fair trade coffee, it would result in $4.7 billion to build strong, healthy communities in developing countries. And that's just coffee. When you make fair trade purchases part of your life, imagine the impact. Buying fair trade provides a better life for everyone. Dignity, equity, justice. Edna created the spark. You can spread the fire. Choose to make a difference. Choose fair trade.
Have you ever paused to think about the thousands of villages across the globe who are producing the very things you're eating, drinking, sitting on, and even wearing? And whether or not those people are able to sufficiently provide food and clothing for themselves and their own families? 10,000 Villages has made it their mission to make sure that a person producing the product is being taken care of and being paid a fair wage. I'm joined by Holly DeGraff, Director of Retail and Operations and Public Relations at 10,000 Villages Canada. Holly, thank you so much for joining me.
It's great to be here today.
It's so nice to have you. This is awesome. I mean, this setup is unbelievable with all of these things. And, you know, I already borrowed this for the show today, and I'm thinking about taking it home with me, if you'll let me.
We'll see.
I won't steal it. But this is great. And, you know, 10,000 Villages, tell me first off, where did 10,000 Villages get its name from?
10,000 Villages, the name came from a Mahatma Gandhi quote about how there are 700,000 villages out there, and we seldom pause to think about them. But, you know, each village has something unique to offer.
Absolutely. And Edna was the first one to really think.
She was.
So back in 1946, this idea of fair trade didn't even exist. And then she started it out of the trunk of her car. And today, you guys are in over 120 retail stores across North America.
Yes.
That's so powerful. So what is conventional trade and the difference between fair trade and conventional trade?
Well, in fair trade, we have a direct trading relationship.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest differences, I would say, is that when we decide to purchase an item from an artisan, we go to them and we ask them for the price that we need to pay for that. We don't negotiate with them to get that price down so that we can make big profits on that, but we really let them set the price to allow for them to provide for the artisan, the community, their family. So that's a really big difference.
So you're really taking care of the community and making sure that they are sustained.
That's correct. The other big difference is that when we make a commitment to an artisan group, we make a long-term commitment. And that means that just like you or I can make plans because we know when our paycheck comes, they can make plans because it's not going to be one order and then we disappear. We're going to work with them long-term. So they can plan to put a roof on their house, to feed their children, to do a vacation, whatever it is they need to do. That's a pretty big difference.
Definitely. Well, Christmas is coming up, like you know, and there's so many things here, like I mentioned, that people can purchase for their family and their loved ones, but there's stories that go behind all of these items. So I want you to just kind of tell me about the people who produce these.
I would love to. All of our products are embedded with rich stories of hope and a stable way of life. What you'll find is, for instance, we have tons of ornaments right now.
This
here is a gourd owl.
He's one of right on your little tree.
Yeah, he's one of our best sellers. And the group that made him is Manos Amigos. It means helping hands. And they take those gourds and peel off the waxy thing and set it out for a week. And then they use these rudimentary tools to etch them and to color them. And the really interesting thing about them is not only are the artisans of Manos Amigos impacted, but their community is as well, because they give 20% of all their surpluses to feed 400 children each week on Sundays, as well as fund their schooling and school supplies.
That's amazing that something just this small can make such a huge impact. Great.
Yes. Another ornament that we have that's actually impacting not only in the Philippines, where the artisans are, but also here in Canada, is our Angels to Apples ornament. This year, $2 from every angel purchased will be donated to Breakfast for Learning, which is a national charity here in Canada.
So you guys are partnering with Breakfast for Learning in Canada.
Correct.
So you're not just working abroad, but you're also working locally.
That's correct. And one fun thing about this, the artisans in the Philippines from Safi who made this, this is capiz. It's the inside of a clam shell.
Capiz.
Yes, it's caprice.
Oh, it's so thin.
It is, and isn't it gorgeous?
So be
with the
careful when you
shimmer?
put these on your trees. Sometimes, you know, you have those ornaments that fall underneath the tree and you don't find until later, or that you throw out when you throw out your tree. This is not one that you want to throw out. Definitely not.
Absolutely not. Another great story is with our recycled sari throws that you're touching.
These
here.
are so comfortable. I just want to wrap up. The studio is a little chilly today, and just put it on, wrap up.
Well, the interesting thing about this is that they're made of recycled saris. So each side is a different kind. So they're truly one of a kind. They're made by the women in Bangladesh at the Hajiganj project, which is an extremely poor area in Bangladesh, where if they were not able to do this work, they would be forced to work for wealthy landowners who pay very little money. And so each one, because it's recycled sari, you see here the patch on it, they match up those saris, they patch any holes that are in them, and then they hand stitch them.
I love these. These are so beautiful. I actually think I might want one of these for my mom. That's great.
Another great story of hope is our bombshell necklace here. These are made in Cambodia, where following the war, the landscape is littered with bomb casings. And the artisans from Rajana collect those, and they make those symbols of war into a symbol of peace by using traditional Cambodian skills and marrying it with contemporary technique and design.
So how long does it take them to make things like this?
You know, it just depends on the group and how many people are involved. So for instance, in the case of that, it may be one artisan who does the work of that, but then the chain and necklace needs to be put together. So it's really hard to tell because multiple groups can be involved in any one project.
Okay.
Another really fun one I'd like to tell you about is our earrings here, because they're from a group in Kenya called Bombalulu, and what's really unique about Bombalulu is they're all artisans with physical disabilities. And when you live in Kenya, there are very little opportunities for people with disabilities, and so the artisans of Bombalulu live there, and they get medical care and education, and they're taught the craft, and they have a designer on staff who designs it, and then they bring to life the beautiful designs.
One of the things that I think that I just noticed is you have the price tag right here, and then you have Kenya at the top, so you can see when you're purchasing all of these things where it's coming from originally.
You can, and it goes one step further. When you make a purchase at 10,000 Villages, you can get a sheet of paper that tells you all about the artisan group who made it and a little information about that product.
That's great. Well, you were telling me a little bit ago about this soap, and that has a very powerful story behind it.
That's an incredible story. That soap is actually from Bangladesh, and it's made by ladies who were formerly a part of the red light district. And they are ladies that didn't necessarily choose that, but they were forced into that because they had no other option. And the group is called Probitra, and they offer these ladies an opportunity for a new life and bring them in, and they train them in skills and health and cooking and just everything they need to know. And at the end of that training, they receive a blue sari that symbolizes their rebirth, their new life. And each one of the soap, that's one of the trades they learn, has a fingerprint on it because it indicates the uniqueness.
Is it the fingerprint of the women
I
who
don't think it's the exact woman who did it.
Let's see if mine doesn't match up.
But the fingerprint really does represent how each of us is unique and made by God.
Oh my gosh, and they smell delicious. This is cinnamon. This is perfect for the holiday season. I love that. Tell me about these pillows, because I think these are so fashionable. What I think is so great about all of this stuff is I think a lot of times when people think about, you know, artisan groups, they think tribal. And this is not tribal at all. This is very, you know, contemporary, and I could see this in anyone's house today.
We actually buy to collections, and so this is part of what we call our mistletoe collection for Christmas. And so we were inspired and sent the artisans some pictures of, here's some cushions that we kind of like, and this is what they designed to meet that collection. So we really do try to keep with the colors and themes that we all like in our homes and in our jewelry.
I love that. So tell me why it's so important that we purchase from 10,000 Villages, that we purchase fair trade, especially during Christmas.
You know, I think for me as a Christian and as a busy working mother, I struggle with God tells us to care for the poor. God tells us to look after them, and there are things that you can do, but this is just one way where our dollars, I'm going to buy gifts anyway. My dollars can make a positive impact. These are gifts with a positive impact. And so I think that's why it's important for us to really think about where our money's being spent.
Right, and so where can we find all of this? If
Well-
I want this today, you might leave with nothing. Where can we find it?
You can visit our website at 10,000villages.ca and find out where there's a store. In Canada, we have 37 stores. You can also shop online. And also in the United States, they have a website and tons of stores as well, as we referenced in the video. So that's 10,000villages.com.
Awesome. Well, I encourage everyone out there, especially during this Christmas season, to buy fair trade, because you're not only going to impact the person that you're giving this gift to, but you're going to impact the person who produced this gift. So, Holly, thank you so much for joining us and showing us all of these wonderful things.